Hey guys, it is Taylor here, and today we're going to be doing reading pet store pamphlet sheet kind of things, like care guides pretty much, for crested geckos. Next we're going on to PetSmart, and we are looking at a setup guide for your new eyelash crested gecko or gargoyle gecko. I'm pretty sure they have the same care requirements. I don't really look into much gargoyle gecko stuff, but as I've heard, I'm pretty sure they're the same. Let me know down in the comments if that's wrong. I don't really know much about gargoyle geckos. 5 things to know about eyelash crested geckos. Experience level, beginner. Just because it's a beginner level does not mean it's going to be easy to take care of. You need to make sure you know the proper things you need for your reptile, their care, and pretty much everything about them before you even think of getting one. Because that will help you out in the long run, and that will help your gecko out in the long run. Size, they can grow up to as long as 10 inches. The last care guide I'm pretty sure said 6 to 10, so I'm guessing that is correct as well. Lifespan, they can live up to 15 years. Yes, 15 to 20, that's average. So behavior, they love to climb. That's a weird behavior, just love to climb. But yes, they are arboreal, as I said. They like trees and vines and just being up high. Did you know that when threatened, eyelash crested geckos will detach their tail? Unlike other geckos, their tails don't grow back. Pretty much every gecko will regrow their tail if they have lost it, like leopard geckos, bearded dragons, and other ones like that. But crested geckos are unfortunately not one of those, and they end up being frog butts if they lose their tail. How to set up an eyelash crested gecko's home. Eyelash crested geckos name from a distant ridge above their eyes, which I'll show you guys a picture, but it's pretty much just like the little ridges on their backs and stuff, spike things that are not spiky at all. Can live in pairs, but not put 2 males together. Choose a terrarium that's a minimum of 20 gallons. Geckos are climbers, so the terrarium lid should be at least 20 inches with a screen lid. It really depends on what size crested gecko you're getting. Like a baby, I recommend a large critter keeper, and then as they go up, maybe a 10-gallon on the side, or you could do a 12 by 12 by 24, or you could do, when they get to be adults, you can have a 18 by 18 by 36, I believe. I don't really know the measurements exactly, but you could either get that or a 20-gallon long on its side. It really depends on what size your gecko is currently. And you do not want to get something too big or they will get stressed out. Line the bottom with 2 to 3 inches inside of coconut fiber or bark bedding. Scoop the waste at least once a week. Change the bedding completely at least once a month. Spot cleaning is very crucial so you don't get mold in your enclosure, because that can happen from waste and other things. 2 to 3 inches of coconut fiber or bark bedding. I'm not really sure on that. I usually just kind of eyeball it and see what seems good. If you do have a gecko that's breeding, you may want to put it a little deeper or something so they can leave their eggs in there. They're not going to really dig under. I know some geckos like to do that, but mine specifically doesn't like to do that. So I don't feel like it needs to be that deep. Add a rock or wooden branch for hiding. Provide lots of branches, either live or artificial, for climbing. Heat and lighting. Eyelash crested geckos originate from the South Pacific and require a warm, humid environment. Very true. They like their humidity. And then it goes and it talks about having warmer at the top and then cooler on the bottom, different temperatures that it should be between night and day, which I'm not sure I believe in most of these things. I just believe kind of room temperature is where it's at. And it's also talking about using like a heat bulb or a ceramic heat emitter to warm part of the cage. I'm not really sure about this whole heating kind of section. They do not need like 90-degree heat or like 60-degree heat. I don't want to say bit of rubbish, but I'm not really entirely sure on half these things. And then it talks about having a humidity gauge, which you do need one of those because you want to know the humidity in your enclosure, which is always important. And then talks about the 12-hour night and day cycle, which also is very important. At night, switch to a night-specific bulb so you can watch your gecko with minimum disturbance. At night, I usually just let her be. That's like the hours that she's out, and I do not want to disturb her. I don't believe you should get a light unless it's for heat reasons. What do eyelash crested geckos eat? They are omnivores, as I said, insects and fruits. Insects should be dusted in calcium or Reptivite with vitamin D, other things, which yes, I do believe with. Your gecko should have a shallow dish of water to clean at all times. Geckos will lick moisture from their skin and habitat. Provide your gecko with CRESTED gecko powder 3 to 4 times a week. I feed my gecko every other day, so it really depends on how your gecko eats and if they eat every other day, every 2 days, every day, whatever works best for your gecko. How do I keep my eyelash CRESTED gecko healthy? Try to not handle new geckos for 3 to 4 days, giving them a chance to acclimate to new environments. I say give them a little bit longer, maybe 1 to 2 weeks, because you do not want to stress them out the teensy bit when they're getting a new home or when they're getting to a new place, new environment, new humidity, everything. And then it goes and talks about different illnesses and any symptoms of illness or distress that you should be looking for if your gecko is unhealthy. Just recommend going to a vet if you see any of these signs. Okay, so that was PetSmart's one. PetSmart, I'm going to rate it probably like a 5 because some of the information was not entirely accurate. If I was a person that was just looking at this and just like reading about this, I'd get really confused really easily. I feel like they could have made it a little bit more easier for people to understand. I'm not saying any of these guides are really bad per se. I mean, you could still use them, just make sure you do more information on top of these. Well, this is a long one. Seems like it's a good sign so far. CRESTED gecko, and then it gives it a scientific name. I feel like I've seen this one more for a scientific name than the other ones, but I'm not specifically sure. So if you guys know which one is correct, or if one of them is just old, or I don't know, let me know down in the comments. Lifespan, 15 to 20 years. Correct. Average size, 8 to 10 inches. The other ones said like 6 to 10 inches. So yes, as well. Cage temperatures, daytime, 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Then it talks about if the temperature falls below 70 degrees, then you may need a ceramic heat bulb or something. Yep, room temperature is about 70, 75. So I suggest that as well. Humidity, 85. So I like my humidity on my cage to specifically be between 65 and 85, I guess I could say. I usually go for around 80, but 85 is not the worst. Wild history, these geckos are arboreal, which is tree-dwelling, nocturnal, most active at night, New Caledonia, rediscovered in 1994. So yeah, that information seems all pretty much correct. And so far, this has been a pretty good website. Physical characteristics. Cresties. Oh, this is a good website so far. They do not have eyelids, so they use their tongues to lick debris out of their eyes, the crest on their back. Famous sticky feet help them walk up and down glass. The pads of their feet are made up of thousands of tiny microscopic hairs. If you do not know that, that is a fun fact for you guys. I actually knew that because I did my research. But some people don't know that. They just think they have automatically sticky paws. But they do have tiny little hairs that help them stick to the surfaces. Normal behavior. CRESTED geckos are sweet and docile creatures, can be tamed and handled, but handlers do have to be careful. They do not jump off into danger. They're excellent jumpers. They drop their tails while trying to escape predator because of stress, and constriction from unshed skin. That's the first time I think I've seen that, so that is very helpful information. CRESTED geckos do not grow their tails back. Cresties, are you done? Can also change their color from light to dark in order to camouflage properly. I'm not particularly sure on that. I just know that's pretty much firing up or down, which is just kind of like them going a darker shade of what they are, or lightening up. Usually when they're awake they get darker, or they're getting stressed out or something, they get darker. I'm not sure if that's camouflage, but that's the first time I've actually seen that on any of these websites. They fire up, per se. Alright, CRESTED geckos can be housed together. Never 2 males in the same cage. 1 female to 2 to 3 females can be housed in a 29-gallon enclosure. Do not house them with different species, due to different care and temperatures, and they can be stressed in the presence of other species, which I pretty much touched on in other videos, so as well, pretty good information. Omnivorous, eats both live prey and fruit. CRESTED gecko diet. Their diet is a powder meal replacement that is mixed with water to form a paste. Give this to your gecko every day to every other day, and just pretty much saying that you should Put it in at night, remove it in the morning, and stuff like that. Protein source is gut-loaded crickets dusted with a supplement powder. Wild-caught insects should never be fed since they carry disease. All insects should be gut-loaded 24 hours before. See our cricket care guide sheet. That's kind of cool that they have a care guide sheet. Be careful to feed the proper size for your gecko. A good rule is to measure the cricket kind of in between their eyeballs. Right now I'm using small crickets, which are just the length between Miss Juno's eyeballs, so that's perfect. That's really good information as well. Like, I'm just, like, I keep saying that, but, like, I'm like, wow. Because they're saying you should gut load the crickets 24 hours for feeding them. You should never grab anything from outside, such as, like, leaves, branches, even if you bake them or wash them off, just don't do it. I know it may just be more convenient, but I promise you can literally get, like, 30 of them for 10 cents. And that's probably the easiest thing you could do rather than go outside and try and catch them. It talks about 4 to 6 crickets 2 to 3 times a week. As I said, you shouldn't really be feeding crickets that often. That's my own personal opinion because it's kind of like giving them candy. Some owners find it easier to put their pets in separate enclosures, freeing them of the bedding and furniture so they will not eat it while they're grabbing the insects. I tongue feed Juno because she does have neurological issues, which doesn't really help with her aim. So she misses all of her crickets, so that's why I do tongue feed her. That sometimes she does pick up coconut fibers at the most, but it is not the worst thing in the world for her. She's not going to get impaction from coconut fibers. They are digestible to reptiles, so don't worry about that. I know people do that, and I do think that's a pretty good idea. And also people do that just so many reptiles don't get tank aggressive and stuff. So I fully believe that. That's just not something that works with me specifically because I do tongue feed her. Fruit. Crested geckos need fresh mashed fruit to balance their diet. I have never fed my gecko fruits and stuff like apricots, mango. So I'm not really sure what my opinion is on it. I haven't tried it and I don't really want to specifically try it. Let me know what your guys' opinions on that is. And then also saying do not feed baby food because it contains too much sugar. Preach. Alright, shedding. It talks about shedding and how they eat their own skin. Just keeping humidity up and to see your veterinarian if shed gets stuck or they're having problems shedding and other things. It also talks about keeping a humidity box, which I do not believe you actually need one. I mean, one may be helpful if you're having trouble with humidity in your tank, but crested geckos are in humid environments, so it shouldn't be a problem if your humidity is good. Supplements talks about vitamins and calcium and D3, and that's pretty good. Water. This talks about having a large bowl of chlorine-free water that your gecko could lounge in, which I've never tried that and I've never really seen anyone do that. Let me know your guys' opinions on some of these things down below as well. Then it talks about recommended supplies, seem pretty good, and then it goes about housing and enclosure size and 20-gallon long, well they say high, but like 20-gallon long pretty much, 29 gallons for 3 adults. It is not true that a reptile will only grow as large as its enclosure. As I said earlier, I cannot preach that enough. I've heard people say, oh no, a goldfish won't get that big, a koi won't get that big, it's in the small container, it only grows as big as its container. Well, that's a lie. Then it talks about if you're using a fish tank, like a 20-gallon long or 10-gallon long, to use strong clips, pretty much to keep the enclosure cover on. Then it talks about heat mat. I do not think heat mats are specifically needed for crested geckos if you're having a problem with humidity and stuff and keeping the heat up and keeping the heat that will help the humidity, or if you're in a really cold place you may want to look into that, but I do not think it is always needed. And then the rest is pretty much just going into depth of everything you need, kind of like branches, human hides, bowls, some of the stuff that I don't agree with. It's just, yeah. It also talks about diseases and illnesses and other things. Last one, Pet Supplies Plus, I would rate that a 8 or 9. I didn't think that was too bad. It also gave a lot of information that you didn't get from the other two websites, which I think is very helpful. These are just my opinions on those ones particularly. If I was gonna say to use one of them over the others, I would say the Pet Supplies Plus, because it did give very good, helpful information, as well as kind of like some extra things that you could add, but you don't entirely need. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave your opinions on some of these things down in the comments. Some things you may not have agreed with me on, or other things that I might not have agreed on. Just like we can have a big discussion about this if you guys didn't agree with some of the things that I said. Beauty of YouTube, people have their own opinions. And I'd love to hear all yours. Make sure you guys like and subscribe for more videos just like this one. If you guys want me to read any more pet store websites or care sheets, leave some down below and I will do another part to this video. I love you guys all so much. As always, like I said at the beginning of the video, thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. That's like absolutely crazy. I just want to give you guys like a big hug, but I can't really do that. If you guys have any other video requests, leave them down in the comments below. Any other videos you want to see of Ms. Juno, pet store vlogs, whatever you guys want to see, let me know. And yeah.